Avoid moving to Indianapolis unless you can handle these things. I moved to Indianapolis from Los Angeles about 5 years ago. So I'm not here to try to talk you out of it. I actually have a pretty optimistic view of this place, but I get asked the same questions every week by people relocating from bigger cities. And there are a handful of things about Indy that catch them off guard once they land. So this is your chance to self-qualify. Go through these with me, and if they're a deal breaker for you, better to know now. And if they're not, you're gonna love it here. The weather and all 4 seasons. Scraping frost off your windshield before the sun is even up, with your breath fogging the inside of the car while it warms, is just a regular start of the day here for a good chunk of the year. Or getting up to turn your car on, letting it run for 20 minutes before you leave. January is cold, not like light jacket cold. You're looking at days in the mid-30s and nights dropping into the low 20s. And it does snow, about 25 inches a year on average. It's not the lake effect craziness you get further north in Indiana, but it's enough that you need to own a real jacket. Not a California winter coat, but a real one. The sky is a harder adjustment, not the snow. From late fall through winter, you get these gray stretches that seem to linger. That's not an official weather statistic, but just my experience. But coming from Southern California, that was the part that took the most getting used to. The gray, not the cold. And once we get into how people move around the city, driving here becomes one of the biggest surprises for anyone coming from a coastal commute. Now, you also get a fall that will take your breath away. You get actual spring here, where everything comes back to life and you notice it because you missed it. And you get a warm green summer that reaches into the mid 80s and 90s. Without the earthquakes I grew up racing for. Watching the seasons change instead of blending into 11 nearly identical months is something you stop taking for granted pretty quickly. And once that gray lifts, you start noticing just how much this place is continuing to grow. But enough about the weather, because the next topic is one of the reasons why this place is on another level: the constant growth and development. The map on this side of town seems to change every year, and if you blink, you can miss what used to be there. Westfield is the clearest example. It is one of the fastest growing cities in the state right now, with growth somewhere around 40% since 2020. Roads are being rebuilt, new roundabouts are going in, trails are being extended, and entire subdivisions are replacing what used to be open fields. Buying out there means you're living with orange barrels. It means the road may look different in your second year than it did in your first. It also means your subdivision may still be under construction when you move in, with homes continuing to go up next door for the next couple of years. Handling all of that construction gets much easier once you understand how property taxes work here. And that part flips a lot of the assumptions people bring with them. Stay tuned. Now, coming from LA traffic, my daily drive here still surprises me. Locals complain about the growth-related congestion, and I understand why. It is real to them, but from someone coming from a major coastal city, it's still a fraction of what you left behind. I notice that every day. Construction is part of where this metro is right now, and it will probably stay that way for years. If new are everything and a neighborhood still taking shape sounds exciting instead of exhausting, you're gonna feel right at home. And once you get past the barrels and the traffic cones, the next adjustment has less to do with what is being built and more to do with what is still not there. Less access and variety than a big city. A go-to dish from back home might take some real hunting to track down here. And it's not because the taste for it doesn't exist. In LA, you might have 5 different Vietnamese spots within 2 miles of your house. Here, you might have 1. That's the math of a smaller population spread across more space. And it's not that those options are not here. There's an entire international marketplace corridor with legitimate global food and specialty markets. There is good coffee, and there is real food happening on Mass Ave and Fountain Square, and then throughout the Bottle Works district. But what changes is the concentration. You are not getting 5 versions of everything within walking distance. You're getting 1 or 2 great versions and driving a little further between them. If you thrive on having 6 choices for every craving, the smaller lineup here might wear on you. But if a couple of great options beat a wall of mediocre ones, you will stop noticing what is missing pretty quickly. And speaking of choices, the biggest one you will make down here is how you will get around, because there's only one option that works. The way people evaluate neighborhoods here also becomes much more specific once we get into the school district conversation later on. It's not as simple as looking at a zip code. Now, for anyone planning to move to Indianapolis, the next part is important. I work with people relocating here all the time, and I would rather show you the neighborhoods before you buy than help you figure them out afterwards. My contact information is in the description below, and I'm happy to walk you through the honest neighborhood breakdown for wherever you're landing. Let's get back to it. Car dependency and the roundabouts. Get ready to relearn how intersections work, because the traffic light habits you grew up with do not fully apply here. This is a car city, and I'm not gonna pretend otherwise. A vast majority of people drive to work alone every day, even though there is useful public transit in certain city areas, including a bus that runs directly from downtown to the airport. And a larger rapid transit line is coming in the next few years. But across most of the metro, especially in the suburbs, you need a car. Full stop. And then there are the roundabouts. Carmel alone has more than 160 of them, and more than any other city in the country. I remember my first weeks here sitting at the entry point trying to figure out who yielded to whom. It's kind of disorienting at first, but once it clicks, and it does click, it's incredible. You stop getting stuck at red lights for no reason. Traffic just keeps moving, and Carmel's own numbers also show a real drop in injury crashes since the city began converting intersections. Give it a few weeks and the hesitation disappears, replaced by a strange confidence that you never expected to have about traffic circles. What takes longer to figure out is how your property tax bill gets built, and that's worth understanding before you sign anything. How property taxes work. There is a tax myth here I hear on almost every buyer call, and it's only half true. The headline is accurate. Indiana caps homestead property taxes at 1% of homes' assessed value. That is a real number, and it is a real advantage compared to a lot of other states. I love being able to tell that to people. But it's not quite as simple as 1% and done, because there are a couple of things you need to know. First, if your neighborhood has voter-approved funding for something like new schools, that amount can sit outside the 1% cap. So your final bill may come in a little higher than the cap alone suggests. Second, your assessed value is not random. The county adjusts it each year based on nearby sales and taking a deeper look at a portion of properties every few years. They are not picking a random year and suddenly hitting you with a new number out of nowhere. There is a process behind it. And once we get into how families spend their time here, it becomes easier to understand why so many buyers decide the trade-offs on this list are worth it. Stick with me. Now, my real advice is not to look at the seller's old tax bill and assume that will be your bill. Check the current assessed value. Confirm the homestead deduction will be filed in your name, and ask about any voter-approved amounts tied to that specific neighborhood. Those numbers can change from one parcel to the next, even on the same street. Get this part wrong, and your monthly budget can shift before you even notice. The next thing worth double checking has nothing to do with numbers. It's the school assigned to your exact address. Varying school districts. The school question here is not as simple as picking a good part of town. Once you see how the district lines works, it starts to make a little bit more sense. Marion County alone has 11 separate public school districts. And that is before you even get into the surrounding counties like Hamilton, where Carmel, Fishers, Westfield, and Noblesville each run their own systems too. Inside Indianapolis proper, schools are organized by township. So 2 homes with the same Indianapolis mailing address can feed into different schools depending on which side of the boundary they sit on. My advice is to check the exact assigned school for that exact parcel before you fall in love with the house. Do not rely on the city name. Do not even rely on the zip code. Now, the school calendars are not synchronized across districts. Fall break and spring break can land on different weeks depending on where you live. The district is confirmed. The last 2 things on this list have less to do with paperwork and more to do with how it feels to live here day to day. It is flat and landlocked. Stand in an open field here and the ground barely changes for as far as you can see. Flat as a tabletop in every direction. Indiana's flat, or gently rolling if I'm being precise. We are sitting on old glacial land, so there's no mountain range, no coastline, and nothing dramatic on the horizon to help you get your bearings. I call it the snow globe feeling. Horizon to horizon, everything looks the same. It took me a while to stop looking for the ocean out of habit. The trade-off is that Indianapolis is one of the most centrally located cities in the country. The airport has direct flights to places like New York and South Florida, and I have traveled more since living here than I ever did in LA. because it's so easy to get almost anywhere from here. And you do get water. Eagle Creek has a real beach and marina, and Geist Reservoir has an entire lake culture on the northeast side. It's not the ocean, and I'm not gonna pretend that it replaces the ocean, but it's a real lake lifestyle if that is part of what you're looking for. The last thing on the list is less about the ground under your feet and more about the rhythm of daily life once you're settled in. A slower pace and the vacation culture. There is a week each fall where this entire side of town seems to disappear for a few days. And the reason is not random. The pace of life here is slower than in a major coastal city. Indianapolis is a real growing metro, but it still moves with a different rhythm. Some people come here and finally exhale. Others arrive and feel like something's missing. Both reactions are valid, and only you know which one fits you. Part of that slower pace, at least for me, shows up in the vacation culture, especially on the north side. The school calendars build in real travel windows with fall break and spring break, and the suburbs noticeably clear out during those weeks. Families leave town. That caught me off guard during my first year here. Coming from LA, I was not used to seeing an entire block empty out over a week in October. I think a lot of people are taking a break from the gray or the flat for a little while, and I can't blame them. That quiet is not emptiness, it's just a different rhythm from a city that never slows down. And if you've been running on fumes somewhere faster and louder, that exhale may be exactly what you are moving here for. That is the last one, so let's bring everything together. I'm not trying to talk you out of Indianapolis. I just want the picture in your head to match what daily life here looks like. The buyers who do best are the ones who decided up front that they can handle all 8 of these trade-offs, not just the easy ones. If one of these 8 gave you a pause, email me at Colleen@maverickgroupindy.com and tell me which one it was. I'll walk you through the north side and west side pockets where the specific trade-offs feel the easiest before you waste an entire weekend touring the wrong areas. And if Carmel is the only suburb anyone has mentioned to you, the video linked covers 5 Indianapolis suburbs most people overlook, including one with a 10 out of 10 rated high school as close to half the price of its neighbors. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.